Hello and welcome. Welcome in the room. Very lovely to be here. Thank you for joining, if you're joining live or by recording later. Let's start with about 10 minutes of sitting. Take some time to settle your body, feel the weight of your torso and the pelvis or whatever is connected to the ground. Feel that weight. Surrender to gravity and get really rooted, anchored. And then add awareness of the upper body, giving a little bit of lightness to your being, a lift, some buoyancy, some awake, alert, upright presence. Allow your spine to be elongated, spacious from vertebrae to vertebrae. Let your face, eyes, cheeks, brow, and jaw all soften, relax. And let your breath be fluid in the midst of it all. Notice the tendency of the mind to wander, and reassure yourself the moment you notice it having trailed off is the moment of true mindfulness, because you are aware. And then it provides the path back to the moment. And it's never a question of being rigidly on that path 100% of the time. It's the question of how frequently can we return? That's the measure. How frequently can we return? And one return is worth so much. Notice your your body. Remind yourself of your physical presence. Root back down whenever you feel that's useful. And rise back up when that feels useful. Notice your next breath. Linger with it for as long as you can. Just 2 more minutes here in this session. Stay close to the breath. Continue to invite the mind back and back and back. Three more long, steady breaths. Follow them in and follow them out. And then gently wake your body up and stretch and shift and return to your immediate surroundings. So I called this talk tonight Opportunistic Luminosity. And it's a play on the phrase opportunistic infections, which, as we know, or maybe we don't know, opportunistic infections are caused by an organism that doesn't normally cause disease, but given the right conditions, if it encounters, for example, a weakened immune system, it then sets up shop and displays characteristics of an illness-causing agent. Viruses, bacteria, parasites, fungi, these things that are always everywhere and have been for as long as there's been life on Earth. And normally we can coexist pretty well with them, but they will take advantage of an opportunity that anytime they find one to take up residence and make themselves known in a way that causes some degree of suffering. Staph infections, GI tract issues with bacteria, viruses, and they, as we know, are worse in people with immune compromised positions, and that happens for all kinds of reasons, whether it's a previous virus or cancer, chronic stress, malnutrition, fatigue, environmental factors, genetic factors, all those things come into play, and we never really know. But opportunistic infections will find those hosts more readily. So conditions must be present in order for a normally occurring organism to turn against us. We don't have a lot of control over a lot of those conditions. We just don't. But there are some conditions that we do have control over, where we do have agency and resources and access and potential ways to manage our lives and our health and our community's vibrancy. So we can do that to the extent it's possible for our unique situation. The bottom line is we don't have a choice to contend with these organisms. That's part of being alive. It's part of sharing this life on Earth. And also, according to many Eastern wisdom traditions, watch the pivot here. According to many Eastern wisdom traditions, including yoga, including Buddhism, an unclouded, luminous, conscious mind is also universally and eternally present as long as human consciousness exists. And that's where opportunistic luminosity can find its way in, if we let it, if we create the causes and conditions where we can access that part of our consciousness and let that light shine in and take up residence and do its healing work, as opposed to opportunistic infections doing their sickening work. I'll share a sutra from foundational Buddhism, some of the earliest discourses of the Buddha. I'll read the official sutra first, and then I'll translate it in plain English. Luminous is this mind, but it is defiled by adventitious defilements. The uninstructed worldling, that's us, uninstructed worldlings, the uninstructed worldling does not understand this as it really is. Therefore, I say that for the uninstructed worldling, there is no development of the mind. There is no freedom from suffering. Further, luminous is this mind, and it is freed from adventitious defilements when the instructed noble disciple understands this as it really is. For the instructed noble disciple, there is development of the mind. So paraphrase, the mind is luminous as it is, as it exists, but it is clouded by opportunistic thoughts. Those who don't see the difference between the light and the clouds, the obstructions, the defilements, will suffer. And when the mind is freed from these opportunistic thoughts, those who can see this understand they are on the path of liberation from pain. So my hypothesis is to flip this opportunistic disease or infection, these opportunistic thoughts, to flip this notion on its head, and to suggest that what the Buddha was calling adventitious defilements, that we can create conditions for opportunistic luminosity, that we can tend to our state of mind. If nothing else, we can tend to our state of mind in any given fraction of a moment and say, how can I open up the blinds a little bit, make a little bit of room for this luminous mind state to come forward and to burn away those clouds. It's not going to fix everything. It's impossible. It's not going to fix structural injustice in the world. It's not going to redistribute wealth in a fair way. It's not going to fix your shitty childhood. But it can show us moments of awakening. It can show us moments of compassion for self and others. It can show us glimpses of ease and clarity and little shafts of light that represent comfort in any given space between an inhale and an exhale. I want to say that's all we can do in some ways. And I also want to say that's a lot. It's a huge benefit because we know how stress works. And we know that state of mind is so important for body, for emotional presence, and regulation, for the nervous system, and for the way we relate to each other. And if we can manage to shine light in those very personal and unique realms, then that's our sphere of influence. That's our most powerful sphere of influence, right there in those moments with ourselves and with each other. And then we're more equipped. We're shining a little brighter. We have a little more actual, literal energy to then tackle the bigger questions. Yeah, it reminds me of that Leonard Cohen song, Anthem, with the lyric, "There's a crack in everything, and that's where the light gets in." So to play with this a little bit in a contemplative exercise, I'll offer you some imagery, take it or leave it, swap it out with something that you feel works better, if that's useful. And that is that, you know, we all have our list of adventitious defilements, these opportunistic infecting thoughts that come in. And so the invitation here is to put it in a cloud. Like, it sounds a little silly. Put it in a cloud, lift it up to the sky, and then let your breath be the gentle breeze that floats it away. We're not stirring up a storm. I'm not suggesting gale force winds to shove all those clouds out to sea. They're going to come back. And we don't need more storms. We have enough of those. Gentle breeze, light, fluffy clouds. Encapsulate those opportunistic, infecting thoughts. And then create the conditions for opportunistic luminosity to brighten that inner mental space. So taking some breaths, just reestablishing your seat. And don't go searching for the stressors. Don't compile lists and dig them up, but watch them arise. They will, trust me. I promise. They'll make themselves known. And when they do, capture them with the fluff of a cloud. Let it find its way up into the sky. And then float it away. Awareness of the cycles of breath in and out can be the reliable, continuous touch point. If anything starts to feel overwhelming, you can dispense with the imagery and simply follow your breath. Connecting with the breath as a gentle breeze that has the capacity to carry those clouds away. And those clouds have the capacity to hold and to pull away from your heart and from your mind those insidious worries that so often have very little to do with what's actually true in the moment. They're always there, but we don't have to give them every opportunity to make themselves known. Let them be pulled away by breath, by intention. Couple more minutes here. Noticing what comes forward. And then playing with your capacity to allow it to be carried away and to let light shine in its place. A few more deep breaths. And then bring yourself back to the moment if you've trailed away from it. Connect to your body. See what wants to be stirred and awakened. So a key piece of this premise is what conditions are created, how we can create certain conditions for ourselves to give as much possible opportunity for a luminous, clear, spacious mind to be present and to shine its light in a way that overpowers the adventitious defilements, the things that cause us to suffer, the painful thoughts, the ruminations, the stressors, the memories. All of those things can be mitigated, can be softened, and sometimes can be carried away from the current mental state by this awareness of luminous presence of consciousness. There's a common saying that that can be attributed to the Buddha, and it is as before, so after, as after, so before, as below, so above, as above, so below, as by day, so at night, as at night, so by day. Thus, with a mind that is open and not enveloped, one develops the mind imbued with luminosity. Again, Leonard Cohen, there's a crack in everything, that's where the light gets in. And the moment we let that light in, then the mind is no longer enveloped in this painful state. It doesn't mean the pain isn't there. It means it is lessened. It means it is softened. It is attenuated. And as before, so after. So if we have one moment of clarity, then the next one has a little bit more of a chance to be clear. After his enlightenment, immediately upon waking up and coming back into the realm of engagement with those around him, the Buddha is said to have spoken these words: I have found a nectar-like Dharma, a way, a truth, profound, peaceful, free from reference points, luminous and unconditioned. Whoever I would teach it to cannot understand. Thus, I shall just stay silent in the middle of the forest. But his buddies in the forest with him, the first ones he encountered after this and said this to, said, no, bruh, you can't do that. You can't just keep it to yourself. We need you to bear witness. We need you to shed this light, to help shed and share this light with others. So there's so much suffering. Stay, travel with us, teach it to the people, anyone who's willing to listen. Help us create the conditions for opportunistic luminosity. So the Buddha saw that light and it was so bright and it was so powerful. He just wanted to stay there forever. And we can take a note from the Buddha in terms of we have these experiences, these fleeting moments of freedom and clarity. Then what do we do about it? What do we do with it? We create more conditions for the same. As before, so after. As below, so above. We just keep at it. And we talk about it and we share it. And we offer it to others as a peace offering, as a moment of care. And that's how we crack away at those small cracks, letting in tiny slivers of light, and we open them up bigger and bigger, wider and wider. That's the only way we have a chance at relieving the profound suffering that's all around us. So let's have another session of sitting or lying down, however you like to be. Just some quiet space, resting in the possibility of luminous ease. Come to your breath. And if your eyes are open, let in whatever light is present in the room. And then if you care to close your eyes, can you still experience that light? Can you still see little glimmers behind your eyelids? Does your consciousness still know the feeling of brightness? You can start to notice when things feel dark. You can see the shadows creeping in. And we can use that as a small alarm bell to turn to the practices that feel like they let more light in. to harness those white fluffy clouds and the gentle breezes of breath to carry them away, or whatever method works for you. As before, so after. So the more conditioned we become to see the darkness creeping in and to turn it around and make room for the opportunity of luminous space in the mind. Resting here in your breath. Just a couple more minutes. And take one more nice, enthusiastic breath. Bring it in. Let it linger for a moment and then let it all the way back out. And if you'd like to bring palms together in front of the heart and dedicate the merit of this practice to all who suffer in darkness, offering all beings the opportunity to get in touch in some small way with the luminous presence of their own mind. And in that way, be freed from suffering and find ways of peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.